Alright, episode 2, starting in 5.
Let's get it going, little dick.
4. Hell yeah. 3.
LD.
2. LD. The God.
The God.
Alright guys, hey, welcome back to ProCastInNation. This is going to be episode 2. We are back. Just once again, real fast. My name is Naveed. I go by Crimson.
Alex, go by D.E. Gozer.
Joe.
Come on, that's all you got. Oh my goodness. Alright.
Way to start it off, right?
Dream big. Neil.
Also known as Big Daddy Donkus.
Why?
Oh, why not?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a story.
Ah, whatever. Alright, yeah. Anyways.
It involved a girl.
Yeah.
It's better than Steve.
It did involve a girl. What was his name again?
Joe.
Alright, anyways. Alright, this is going to be episode 2. Episode 1 was pretty nice, if I do say so myself. We've picked up multiple sponsorships since then, so...
This is now known as the Shade Corner. They're going to be very aggressive and just throwing that shit. Oh, I mean, stuff.
Yeah.
Right
Start that again. Say, this is the Shade Corner.
Okay. So, from now on...
Like, the fact that you had to... Oh, never mind. It's like... It just
Hey, you know what?
Get back in
We're leaving all of it in. Let's just leave all of it. Throw a little...
So this is the Shade Corner. Yeah, they're going to be throwing that all night.
Says the guy that cussed. Alright, anyways. We got some pretty cool topics for you guys. We did have some really nice suggestions, so thank you for that, guys. We've added the 2 gods, Snoop and Tupac.
This is the God Corner now.
Yep, that goes with our nice George Costanza, the timeless art of seduction. Don't worry, we're going to have more. I don't know how many more posters we can fit.
Oh, we can always find more. We'll just wear
we'll
t-shirt
rotate.
posters.
Yeah, we'll rotate, Anyways, so the topics we want to talk about, we're going to have a couple, so I'm going to... Let's sprinkle some in there that you might not be expecting. But let's start off with a game longevity. I think that's a really cool subject that we can talk about. So, and what I mean by that is, how long is too long? Joe, what do you think, bro? How long is too long for a game to be out there?
Oh, jeez. Like with no updates and things like that.
Even with updates.
Even with updates?
Even with updates.
I mean, I'm kind of like those people. I like to have a game around. I love, what Dota and League of Legends have been doing. Because they're just improving their game. They're always making it better, updating it, things like that. But it's just like, if I would say, honestly, 2 months. If they didn't update things, it just gets stale, boring.
2 months.
That's a short time frame.
Yeah. I need my stuff now.
Man.
That's why I don't. We talked about it in the.
I think you need these.
We talked about it in the.
Jeez.
We talked about it in the last podcast, right? And then a little cigar or whatever. I don't like watching trailers or anything like that because I just get too hyped or too real on it, and I'm like, oh, when's it coming out? I need it, like a junkie. But it's, to me, if no one's being done or anything like that, 2 months. I mean, I love Rainbow Six Siege. I play it all the time, but there haven't been any real updates or things going on recently.
You guys just got one, or is it coming out?
It's coming out.
Okay.
They've been talking about it. Yeah.
All right,
So
well, you
it's
guys heard
like,
it here first. Game developers, no trailers. You have 2 months.
You got 2 months.
2 months.
That's it.
2 months. That's it.
After that, you cut off.
No, but that's what I mean. Like League of Legends, right? Every month.
All right, no. So
2 months.
they really
That is
2 months
let
is
it go
very
on their
short.
That
second.
is short.
It is.
Okay.
2
I'd
months is
give
great,
it.
man. What do you think?
I'd give it maybe 3 years, and 3 years is about the time where everything's figured out. All the hidden metas are definitely out. Any tactics are there, and there's really no development. Like, let's take Melee. I don't know how long that game has been playing, but if there's no updates, everyone's going to pick their champ or their character. They're going to pick their playstyle. They're going to figure it out, and they're going to learn every other playstyle, and it's there. And then at that point, that's when it gets stale. I don't know what 2 months is.
2 months.
Yogurt doesn't even expire. I don't know what we're going.
He changes games
All
when he
right.
chooses.
Well, that's why when people ask me, like,
2
what
months?
game do I
That's
play?
too short now.
I play everything. Because I'll play League of Legends, I'll play Rainbow
But
Six.
all right, let me ask you this though. On that same note, you said that a meta might be figured out after a while. I'm gonna bring up a Smash player, a little kid known by the name of Wizrobe, who's very famous in Florida, and he basically ran the Florida scene. Came out of nowhere and he beat Mewtwo King online using Sonic. And Mewtwo King said, well, I had 8 frames of lag. And after all that, they met in person at a tournament, and no one had ever seen a good Sonic in a tournament. This kid comes out of nowhere, years after the game's been out, and works over one of the best players in the world. Worked him over. I mean, that's a meta.
I think we just saw that
figured
with
out.
Civil War. What was it? It was Link, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. See, he's from Japan. It's completely different there. But again, he's doing stuff that no one's ever seen. Now, like, Smash 4 is only a year or two old at this point, so it's still within Alex's 3-year period.
Way
But-
over just 2
But
months.
there's updates.
Way over.
Well,
Okay, I'm talking
okay,
about
the
regular
last
games.
patch- the
Fighting
last
games
patch-
are different.
The last patch was bail and everything. That was about a year ago. But
All right, I'm just going to leave right now.
You're just gonna have to hold that. I think-
Hold that L!
And I gotta agree with Alex in that
I gotta get
sense.
over to
is
the
that
shade corner.
If there is
Gotcha.
a reason for it to, like, if there's still things to be discovered, right?
Yeah.
And this speaks back to Melee's longevity. The reason why people have been playing it for 15 years or however long is, and this is something that's changed drastically now, is when people were going to tournaments. Something now that's seen as very simple, like Shine Sparking or something like that, took 3, 4, 5 years to develop, 6 or 8 years to practice it to perfection, and then take it to tournament. And everybody's like, "What was that?" And now they're like, "Hey, I've released one YouTube video about it, and I didn't tell you how to do it, and so you got to watch the frames and figure."
Yeah.
Now you have people that are producing, because they want the views, they want the money, all that stuff. So they're producing content at a very rapid pace. So pretty much the day, especially with the advent of Twitter, the day something is discovered, they're like, I think this might actually be something. It's up on Twitter and people are analyzing it, figuring out stuff like that. So it expedites the growth of the game, to a point where the longevity of it might die down a bit. I mean, Melee seems to be more or less figured out, but even wobbling wasn't really a thing.
Sure.
Until Wobbles was like, he didn't invent it, but he got famous off of it.
Sure.
So in that sense, it's really up to the community to decide how long the game is going to last.
Well, let
If
me
it's
ask you
still
this
fun.
on that. So the next subject is actually on that same note. What do you guys think about number of sequels? And some of the games that I'm going to use as an example here are going to be Final Fantasy. We're going to use Zelda. We're going to use Mario, Sonic, and all these games. What do you guys think? How many sequels should a game have? I mean, granted, these are, as Neil was pointing out when we were having this discussion before this, these are considered franchises at this point. There's the Zelda franchise. There's the Mario franchise. But at the same time, there are sequels. And what do you guys think? Are there just too many of these games? Like, how do you guys feel about this?
I gotta say, with these games, I don't think there's too many sequels. It seems like every game can stand on its own, right? If you go into all those games, even Mortal Kombat, all their games stand, like the Mortal Kombat timeline. If you want to track it through all the Mortal Kombats, you will get lost by like game 3. It doesn't really follow the same timeline, and they switch it up a lot. That's why even in 9 they had time travel, like just to try to regulate some stuff. But like these games stand on their own, and it makes it really good. Assassin's Creed, I got tired of it.
That movie sucked.
The movie sucked.
I haven't seen
Terrible. Don't-
I think
don't bother.
I quit on number 3 with Connor. Like I played like for
I agree.
I played for 2 months. Yogurt got old. And
Okay, let's go back. No, because this is everyone's ganging up on me on this corner. That's what I was talking about.
Alright,
with
but that
games.
game just sucked.
I'm not talking
Like-
about FGC games or mobile. Like
No,
those
yeah,
are
that's fair enough.
those
Not
are
fighting
tournaments.
games. Those aren't people
I'm
like
talking
us.
about games.
But no, okay.
No,
Hang
we're
on, Joe, I
different.
got you.
We're a different breed.
Oh, okay.
Here I
got
have the
you.
Mortal Kombat.
They got the training
I guess-
wheels on.
no, what I would say in
And an
defense
Evo hat.
I would say in defense of Joe is there's also such a rapid expansion of games. So there is 20, 30 new games every month. To the point where there's guaranteed to be a big box developer game every 2 months. So you got to wonder, is this game good enough to catch my attention that I don't care about what's coming out in the near future, or am I still looking forward to what's coming out next? So you're playing Horizon Zero Dawn right now, and in 2 months ARMS comes out and you got to switch. Is there still something in that game that appeals to you? And I think that our gaming culture has become in such a way that we really have to decide how we want to spend our time, that it becomes,
Fully agree.
I've got to play this and try this and see if I like it and see if it's worth investing my time into. So
Well,
That's
hold
why I
on.
go to more
what you mean.
multiplayer games now.
With,
I
with
don't buy
this,
story
though,
games.
with this, I don't know how it is for you guys. I get nostalgia for games.
Yeah.
I will go and play Final Fantasy X right now from beginning to finish. Never get tired of it. I mean, obviously the boring areas, but you know, as a whole, the game, same thing. Ocarina of Time, I could play that right now from start to finish and love it. Diablo 1, I'll play through level 1 to 16 the whole way through. It's great.
But yeah, it's like what I was saying though. All those games, they stand alone. Like the connection between them is barely more than the title. But like Assassin's Creed, Resistance, and God of War, I named 3 games. One of them sucked after a while because it became the same story. Like Assassin's Creed tried to connect everything, and you're just like, I'm kind of bored because now you're not giving me anything new. You're just giving me different eras. God of War always mixes it up, and they connect a storyline. So they did it good. Yeah. But you know what? If it comes to number 8 or 9, I might get tired of it if it's the same story. I need something different, and that's what they're doing. Number 4 is going to introduce the younger characters so they can get a different game. They stand alone. If it's the same storyline, it might drag on, but if it stands alone and it's its own thing and it's connected by title, you can make as many as you want.
That's where the franchise versus
that was
sequel comes in.
Where Halo fell off for me. I was a huge Halo, like the second Xbox came out with Halo, and it just combat evolved. It was like I remember reading about it, looking at just oh, this is gonna be awesome. There's nothing just mind blowing, right? Loved it. Halo 1 came out, loved it. Halo 2 came out, loved it. Halo 3 came out, loved it. But then it kind of did all, and Gears of War. It just their storyline though. I guess it might have been me thinking that their storyline was going to go somewhere, which kind of led it was like, oh yeah, this is going to happen. It never happened, or something weird happened. The Covenant then all of a sudden just said, nah, I would forget this piece. The
Flood came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So there's one thing we cannot not talk about when it comes to game longevity. What about WoW?
We'll jump on that. This is one of those, again, I think it comes down to the matter of the community. Now, WoW is, for many, 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 many people, their first MMO. For many people, their only MMO. Blizzard did it all right. They've got Warcraft 3. They had enough people invested in the storyline. Because, if you go back and play Warcraft 1, Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3, and you actually, watch the cinematics, play all the expansion stuff like that, it is actually pretty fascinating. And I say that as somebody that's I'm sick of WoW, I'm sick of the story, all that stuff. You go back and you watch it, and you're like stuff went down. It wasn't just, oh, we're fighting this guy, we're fighting, there was expansion, there was movement, there was
growth.
Things going upwards. And upwards in the sense that it's not just man versus man or clan versus clan. Gods are getting involved, galactic forces are getting involved, and things of that nature. So when you can develop something like that and roll it into an MMO, and I think as far as an MMO goes, they did it at the right time. A lot of people, they were playing Ultima, they were playing Dark Age of Camelot, they were playing EverQuest, they were playing Ragnarok, they were playing RuneScape, all these games. So they had an idea of what an MMO could be. But this was the first really story-driven MMO. Not in a sense where, eventually with Cataclysm, where the choices you made affect, to an extent they do, affect the world around you. But to the point where you actually cared about the things that were going on. And because of that, because of the desire for progression, how popular the game was, the desire to be the best, and for a lot of people, actually the story, made it so the expansions and the time between expansions made a lot of sense. When expansions were landing, that was usually about the time that a casual player to a tryhard, let's say, somebody that's not necessarily in the best guild or something like that, but has their buddies together and they're like, I really want to progress. To the point where they were able to progress to where the gear that they had let them transition easier into the next expansion.
Sure.
Now, have they had too many? I think so. That's just me. I haven't played any since Pandas, but
on that whole transition thing, man, I cannot tell you how pissed off I was when I played vanilla. So I played WoW when it first came out, level 60.
I've never played WoW.
They changed the system in which you got gear from PvP, where it used to be if you got High Warlord rank, you got to get High Warlord stuff. Yeah. They changed it to, you know what? We'll let you grind as many points as you can. If you get enough, you can buy the piece. As soon as I finished buying every single piece that I needed for my Paladin, the next day the expansion came out, and the first starting newbie quest that I did in Burning Crusade, I replaced my Grandmaster, or it was a High Warlord weapon with a green common weapon. Mm-hmm. and that sucked.
Yeah.
Now, let's move on to something, because you mentioned expansions. WoW is on its, what, 7th, 8th, something like that expansion? I mean, it's not that many. It's Burning Crusade,
Frozen Throne?
Wrath of the Lich King. Waddle
Yeah, Wrath, and then Frozen Throne. Or, no, Wrath, yeah, you're right. It's called Wrath of the Lich King.
You're
That was
thinking
Northrend.
You're thinking of
Yeah,
Warcraft
I'm thinking
3.
Warcraft 3.
Yeah, no. I want to say it's about 6 or 7 or 8. It's between 6 and 8, okay? Irrelevant. EverQuest is on its 23rd expansion.
And Guild Wars 2.
For those that don't know what EverQuest is, used to be called Evercrack. EverQuest is an MMO. It was back when MUDs were around, and EverQuest basically kind of kicked off the whole MMO scene. Like, there were other MMOs, nothing like EverQuest. Nothing as expansive, nothing as detailed, nothing that people actually put as much time and money into, both on the developing side and on the player side. So EverQuest is one of the coolest, most intricate MMOs ever. I think when you think of Dungeons and Dragons, even more than D&D Online, I would think of EverQuest.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to picture what a D&D character would look like, act like, stats-wise, story, background, everything, I would think of an EQ character. So, EQ's been going on for a very long time. It is on its 23rd expansion. We already talked about how long is too long and number of sequels. Well, when do we just say maybe make a new EverQuest? Or what do we do? Yeah. Like, what do you do?
I know they are working on EverQuest 2.
Oh, well, no, they were working on it 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's done.
They actually
then they had EverQuest
at
Next.
this
Yeah,
point,
that's
hold
what
on.
it was.
At this
EverQuest
point,
Next.
isn't it already EverQuest?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Is it 24?
Why divide up your audience between EverQuest 1 and 2 when you can just say, we're just making it one game?
Or maybe that could be, I'm totally speaking and reading between the lines here. Maybe that's something that they're doing for the community. Instead of repurchasing like a rebranded gift, that has better graphics or whatever, they keep pushing it.
I think it's on the exact opposite of, they're not doing it for the community, they're doing it for the simplicity for themselves, because the company that made EverQuest has been bought out. It was made by Sony EQ. Okay. So Sony Entertainment, SOE, they made EverQuest. They no longer owned it. Some company named Daybreak bought it, and I think it's actually owned by someone else now, but I could be wrong on that one. But I know a company called Daybreak purchased it. If I'm the company that purchased it, I'm going to go, why the hell would I put all this money into developing a game that might work, might not work, have to get all these new subscribers again, when I have this old thing that requires virtually no maintenance because of how low the graphics are, how simple everything is. We've already figured it out, and I'm just collecting money for $15 a person.
Oh, so they're not... I will be honest, I haven't played...
it's a subscription base. It's like a WoW.
Okay,
they get paid.
So they're not updating any of the graphics or anything like that.
No.
Okay,
well,
so then I'll retract.
Not really.
Yeah,
not really.
But
yeah.
About that though is, are we looking at a different? And this is one that obviously worked for them, but I don't think anybody's ever going to try again. Is now that they're on their 23rd expansion, how much is it like the original vanilla version?
Nothing like.
Have they created a pseudo EverQuest 2 because they're so far distant from how they started?
So they do this. So it's completely a different game in the sense of itemization, especially in the end game, and just some of the added statistics they've added in. And they've actually kind of convoluted it, in my opinion, and made it this weird thing that it wasn't to start with. Mm-hmm. So now they've done these things where they've introduced progression servers, where the server will basically be vanilla, and it works off of the same time frame that the original games got launched. So let's say, hypothetically, you have a year and a half before that expansion. You get to play on this server in the vanilla mode a year and a half, and then the expansion will release on that server. So it's a really cool nostalgia feel where they're like, oh, well, check this out. If you like the old game, jump on. And if you jump on in the middle, you'll be wherever they are in that point.
Okay. I kind of feel that's...
It's a good idea.
It is, and it's one of those things that I'm sure is supposed to bring in people that never got the feeling of the original EverQuest. I can talk about one. I played Dark Age Camelot a lot. Like,
DLC,
a lot. Like,
good PvP system in that game.
Amazing PvP system. Mm-hmm. One of those things that just changing from 2 factions to 3 factions completely turned it on its head, because now you have to worry about being backstabbed, stuff like that. It's not just 2 people smashing against each other's. Anyway.
That's what I did last weekend. Bazinga!
But when we're
Pew!
discussing longevity, people still play that game on a paid subscription basis.
Yeah.
It's changed. Like, you have to have a buff spot because you have to have.
You can't play it by yourself.
Yeah, you really
it's the same
can't.
thing with
You have to
EverQuest.
have a second account and things like that. But there's also a free-to-play server that's fan-ran that I tried, and I don't ever want to play that version of Dark Age again, where there's no task touch, where it takes
the damn Wild
8
West.
years, yeah, where it takes 8 years to level to 50 and all that crap.
Sure.
But I think people that are playing these games are gonna play them forever. Like, people will leave these games, obviously. Not as many people are playing Dark Ages, the 100,000 peak nightlies that they were hitting on their 20 servers or whatever. But the people that enjoy the game, they're not going to leave it. And
Sure.
if you're able to provide that kind of stuff to them, I think it'll keep them
Yes.
alive.
Let's move on to the next subject. The next subject is going to be games, gaming, and pop culture mixed into one. And we're going to start with kind of pop culture, tattoos about gaming, about anime, about just anything in that regard. What do you guys think about this? I know there's a really cool one that for those that have ever seen One Piece, and you guys know who Monkey D. Luffy is. Anime character, he can make his different body parts gigantic by blowing air into his thumb, so he can make a gigantic fist, he can make a gigantic foot. He's basically made out of, he has the properties of rubber. And this guy has this really cool tattoo right on his arm across here, where it's basically Luffy pulling back his fist, and it grows into the guy's actual hand. So it's really cool. It plays off of the spacing, and I really like it. So what do you guys think about that?
I mean, I've got tattoos, you've got tattoos. We know it's a personal choice. I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with putting something on yourself that's pop culture related if it's something you enjoy. Even if it's something you enjoy at the time. Because a lot of people are like, oh, well, are you still going to like that in 5 or 10 years? If it means something to you, even if it's something as simple as like, man, I look at that and I get nostalgic and it gives me a good feeling, I think that's okay. A lot of my good friends will get tattoos based off large franchises. Legend of Zelda means a lot to them.
Sure, yeah. How many Triforces have you seen, Alex?
Each one is like, and you'll see them all the same way. Like, they'll get them done just like Link, where just the Triforce of Courage is colored in on this side of the wrist, where it would actually go in like Ocarina of Time or something like that. Or they'll get the one of Wisdom, or the one of Power. Whatever it is. I don't know if really there's anything fair to say as far as bandwagon stuff like that goes. If you like it, you like it, and I think that's okay.
And it's the same with music. How many people have Sublime things? People do kind of like alter, either the sun or, one of their logos.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's used as I think it's just used to get into communities. We were playing one day and a streamer was recording one of our games. And he was like, hey guys, if you guys want to check my stream out, I'll be streaming this. He basically was banking on you checking him out, and he just had all his tattoos on his Twitch page. So it was like he had Fizz with the shark, and I think he had like Lux or something. It was another character from
It was like a walking advertisement.
Yeah, but that's what I mean.
Sure.
Well, I mean, let's cut what advertisements, right? Who remembers that guy that sold his face to Target?
Yeah.
What happened to him?
There was
that was like a huge thing because people were starting to
I
do
also
that.
remember this thing when Echo was like, if you get their logo tattooed, you get like 10% off for life or something like that. Yeah.
So there was an old commercial that I really liked, and there was this guy. He was making a phone call, and he goes, "Hey, calling this tattoo shop," and he's like, "All right, well, I'm calling you on my new phone." He goes, "So?" He goes, "All right, so what's up?" And basically, it's this guy, and you look at him, and he's covered in this. There's this memorabilia all around him of the Tigers, whatever the team. I don't know if it was the professional football team or not, but it was just Tigers everywhere. Okay, I think it was a college made-up team that he had, and he had tiger stripes going all the way across his body. And he's like, "I'm calling you on my new Comcast digital voice phone." He goes, "Sorry, Raja, you Tiger now," and he just like hangs up on him. But it's like one of those things. Like how much is too much of a tattoo? It's up to you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I would avoid getting neck if you're not sure.
Yeah, and
avoid the Tyson. Avoid the
even then, that's really up to
It's
the
up to you. I mean,
tattooist,
I'm just saying.
because there's some people that are like, if you don't have a tattoo, they're not going to tattoo your knuckles or your face or something. They're like, hey, why don't you ease into it with your arm or something?
You can find an artist that will do
absolutely.
anything, but you can also
Absolutely.
find an artist that's going to give you very strong-willed suggestions about why don't you not get your spouse's name tattooed on your chest with a flower, and then when you get the next spouse,
Unless
you have to
it's
cover
like
it with a leaf
dive
and then
tattoo
50
bar.
leaves.
Yeah.
Who's making it for the
Sure.
money?
But, all right, so that's that. What about this? Styles that have come from gaming. And you know, when we were talking about this, we kind of had a hard time thinking about things, but we brought up some really good points. Like, let's say TSM jackets. I saw a guy at my job, actually. He wears a TSM shirt, does not know who TSM is.
Oh, jeez.
He does. I don't know if he got it from like a Goodwill or like where this showed up.
Well, it is a pretty cool design.
It's an awesome design. It's a really, really cool
Yeah,
design.
it's clean.
And then you have like another team, CLG. It's a kind of cool design too. You have.
They have suits. I just want to point that out. I'm mad.
I mean, the TSM jacket is one of the coolest jackets I've seen. That varsity jacket they have, the black and white, that thing's awesome. I mean, like, what do you guys think about the whole style? Because, I mean, you see people wear football jerseys.
So, I do want to jump in this one. I do know a couple companies. I've even tried to work with a few people out here to work on a gaming design company. So, I mean, by, like, clothing. So we had, pins, shirts. We weren't looking into pants, obviously, but, like, beanies. And, it's just... Honestly, you have to think about... I'm probably giving away secrets now. But let's go streamers. Streamers are huge. Mm-hmm. Streamers are extremely influential. What happens when they come out with their own line? I mean, Foe did it. The same thing.
Look at I'm a Cutie Pie, for example, okay? Mm-hmm. This guy, he's the biggest Twitch streamer in the world. He streams League of Legends. He makes the most money on Twitch. Not even a question. This guy has come out with a clothing line.
Yeah.
He's come out with sponsorship deals with the Walking Dead video game. He's come out with sponsorship deals with Archer, that show, the cartoon show Archer. He's come out with just all these different sponsorships, like the Star Wars video game. And, I mean, when you're already paying somebody $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month, and then you're also dropping in just donations just so they say a word for you, and they'll write you a customized message if you buy a shirt.
That's a lot more than Old Navy's doing right now.
You know what I mean?
Also, I'm gonna have to,
shout out
I need to throw. Oh well, no,
they
they're
don't
not
have
gonna
money to give.
I need to throw some shade. So, with Old Navy now,
not so bright.
all my clothes, not these ones, are usually bought from Old Navy. Don't buy their belts. Oh my god, I've been through so many belts in the past 3 months that it's insane. I know
well, they're supposed to go on your waist. You're not supposed to show.
Wearing a Batman suit, right? Right? Is that what's going on now?
The old Caruso. No.
Let's not go too far out.
So I would say that it's a transition kind of thing. Like, you're not going to find anybody other than a cosplayer that is going to look at a video game and be like, that's my style, I'm wearing that from here on out. Like, I'm only going to have my hair spiked like Cloud, and I'm only going to wear black leather suits, stuff like that. But, I mean, even look around us right now. Alex has a Mewtwo shirt on. Joe has a Mortal Kombat. I don't know what that is. Don't worry about it. And, I've got mine on because, if you're not pimping your own brand, nobody will. But that's not the point.
Oh, hold on.
Go ahead.
I actually have my online
username
on my hat. So screw you guys.
Yeah, but no one's able to see it.
So what, man? It's for me, man. It's not for you.
For me, it's one of those things where if the project is cool enough, if you're well known enough, people are gonna wear it. Like, I know plenty of people that wear CLG, TSM, like Team Liquid. I like their
nothing to do
jackets.
with Evo. I love Evo.
Yeah, Evo with the hat. Like, even if you just like the design, you'd be like, well, I just like the design.
Oh, come on, look at this.
So,
this goes with everything.
Yeah, it does.
Look at that.
Still got the sticker
shout
on
out
it.
to Gaming Gen. You can get all their Evo gear online.
Oh my god!
Does this still have the sticker on the top?
It is.
Oh,
fresh.
he does. Yeah.
Oh, fresh with the pH, baby.
So it's
Heard
one
that.
of those things that if you have an attachment to it, I think you'll find a way to own something related to it, even if it's just a pin or a phone case or something like that. I know, and I can speak personally, when you're looking at, especially Smash 4, and I talk about this all the time, but the difference between Smash 4 as a fighting game, when you're looking at it as a team owner, looking for sponsors, compared to pretty much any other game, is lack of third-party support. we were talking about this, but we played the game on a Nintendo Wii U using a Nintendo brand GameCube adapter, using Nintendo brand GameCube controllers. If they made a monitor, we'd probably use that too. If Nintendo's not giving you money, then there's something for it. You have places that do custom controllers. Controller Freaks is one I can think of.
Control Chaos?
Or Controller Chaos, yeah, sorry.
Mad Catz, rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace, Mad Catz. But when you look at something like that, there's a lot of ways to get into it. You can get money from Mad Catz or exclusively use their sticks. You get them for free and things like that. We don't have that option. So if we're looking for... Now, the nice thing about it is the cost of entry into it is pretty low, too. You're just paying your players, really. So it's not costing you a whole lot, but you're making no money at all if you're just trying to support players.
All right,
so you have to come out things with apparel and things like that.
I agree.
Like what we do.
So let's talk about cosplayers, because you did mention cosplayers. So we have we have the cosplayers where, let's use Jessica Nigiri as an example, one of the most famous cosplayers in the world, if not the most famous cosplayer in the world, I think, at this point.
I think she's like the Kim Kardashian, right?
Pretty much,
yeah. I mean, she has her resume is large and expansive. I don't know what she's so famous for, but it's on the tip of my...
I think it's personality.
Yes, definitely.
You got something you want to get off your chest.
Yeah, anyways.
About it.
So Jessica Nigiri is actually very famous for doing a lot of video game themed cosplay. She's done a Teemo, she's done a Pikachu, and she gets into all these other characters. There's another one, Miss Aru, shout out. She does a lot of gaming. She actually has done like the Queen of Hearts Ash. She's done just a lot of League of Legends based cosplays. She's done video game characters. And I think that's awesome. And I think that's just really cool that we have people that are that passionate about it. Mm-hmm. Then you have the people that kind of give 20% effort where they'll go to cosplay and they'll do... And you can cosplay however you like, but I would say you have to put a little bit of effort into it. If you're just going to go to like a dealer booth and buy a bleached Shinigami outfit, not have a number on your sleeve so you don't know who you are and you're just a nameless Shinigami with like a nameless sword and you're like, oh, who are you? I don't know. Like, throw a little bit into it. What do you think?
I completely agree with that. It's, and I know I'm going to make people mad and upset. I'm sorry, whatever. The thing is, with cosplay, I know a lot of cosplayers, and the time and effort, oh my god. I really do believe that, like, if it's something else, it's a different... I'm not going to say it's not cosplay, but it's something completely different when you're creating your own thing, not 3D printing. I mean, some things have to be 3D printed. I completely agree. There's just no way you can do it. But when you take the time and you put the effort and you make your own thing, it's something else than just buying it.
But let me play off that, because there are... Take it from me. I have no creative talent whatsoever in this world, like about anything, everything. I am just a skillless man. All right? I love cosplay. Mm-hmm. I cannot do cosplay. So what do? I'm
just saying it's a different, like...
No, there is. And here's what I did. So I made a gang-playing cosplay for myself, okay? So what I did was I took all the materials. I found my ex-girlfriend's aunt, who was amazing at sewing. We worked with her. I didn't hands-on do the sewing. I was there, and she would ask my opinion. I would point it out. I bought all the materials. I sat there. I helped her with whatever I could, given my talents, which are, but I was part of the process. And even though I wasn't doing the heavy lifting, to me it felt like I made it, even though I didn't,
Well, that's not just buying it.
It's not.
You bought the material, you put in the time with the person that had that skill. I'm the same way. I would totally go to, one of my friends and be like, hey, this is kind of the design I have. I can't do it because I'm the same way. I think it's just, I applaud anyone that can do all that stuff.
Yeah, seriously, it's a huge talent. That's awesome.
Insane. Yeah. But no, I'm the same way. But the thing is, it's different than buying a onesie.
Sure. Well, Alex, let me ask you this: like, do you have the ability to make cosplays? Like, could you do it if you needed to?
I have the ability to craft.
He can do everything. Remember, Jesus.
No, I have the ability to craft certain things out of other things. Like for a Thresh cosplay, I went to a Party City store and bought a whole bunch of those fake chain things and the hook, and I sat there and I cut them up, and I took a lighter, melted them back together because they're plastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I made the chain. Like, I mean, can I make that myself, like from scratch? No, but like if I go to the store, I can
MacGyvering.
MacGyver. There we go. I can MacGyver a lot of things. Like I
That's
can
awesome.
I can see through it. I can see through costumes. I'd be like, I could change that, and I can figure it out.
That's a really cool talent, because I think cosplay is a huge part of it.
Yes.
Like when I owned my shop and I would go to these events like Otakon, Katsucon, Anime USA, and AwesomeCon, every single person at the booths generally had cosplay on, and I couldn't. Like I said, I can't make crap. Luckily, I had some people that knew how to make it, and I kind of got hooked up. But I can tell you, you get a lot more attention if you're cosplaying, guy or girl. If you're working a booth, if you're someone's favorite character, they're going to come up and talk to you, and it's going to kind of like open your door. And that's the thing. And not even if they come up and talk to you to buy something. I mean, cool, but I mean, like, it's one of those things where you're around people that love the same things you do. I think just by wearing something like that, you kind of let them know about something that you might like, and it's a really cool thing.
Kind of goes into the tattoos.
Yeah,
and I would say in defense of people that do buy something like it's an entry point. I think if you're not sure, and they call it classic cosplay, right? Where you kind of
so there's a term.
Yeah, you just kind of grab a store-bought item, or you take something and you mildly repurpose it. Like, if you need a red bandana, use a red tie, something like that.
Yeah.
Low-cost kind of thing. Like, there's that low-cost cosplay dude or something like that.
Oh, my God.
I think...
love that.
That's
but I think all that's fine, because it's not necessarily... Because this is sort of like... I mean, we could even tie this back into esports. If you're the best at what you do, you're obviously going to want to go to those events to show off and, win money, whatever it is. Cosplay contests, that kind of thing. But if you're passionate about it, the community should be accepting enough to be like, okay, you didn't put that much effort into it, but the effort was still there. You're still here. You still paid your price of admission. You paid for ticket, whatever you had to do. So I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying it's a different. They shouldn't really. I don't know.
I mean, like if they, I think what you're saying is like if they were to enter a contest and win it over somebody that actually tried really hard. So like I can think of this one thing. I was a kid. I was probably 14, 15, and we went to this laser tag lock, and it was a Halloween party, and there was a kid there. It was store bought, but he really took a lot of pride in it. It was a full Master Chief suit, and it was not cheap, but not expensive.
Well, I think that's back before 3D printers.
Yeah, it was
and
probably like $100,
$150,
$150, something like that.
Yeah.
And he entered the contest. Everybody thought it was a shoo-in. There was another dude that was walking to the place, saw a for sale sign, like, that you put on the back of the car or whatever, in a trash can, picked it up, hung it around his neck, and he won because at the moment everybody thought that was the funniest. And you could tell that the kid that actually was, like, really passionate about Master Chief and Halo and all that stuff, he was a little disheartened that they were like, oh, well, this dude just threw on, it's funny because it says for sale on it or whatever.
I did the, there was an event that I was part of, shout out to Ultimate Media Ventures, Alt. They had an event at the SLS, and they were doing cosplay. Mm-hmm. Oh, my God. These were...
Some of those were insane.
Jessica, I can never say her name. Nigiri was there just in the crowd, kind of promoting and pushing it. But like the other people that were part of it, oh my God, insane. Like I think one was like this huge ball gown dress. It was like I can't even remember, like 15,000 100 million stitches or something like that she did. I was like, wow. And then like someone else, you remember the Egyptian queen from The Mummy, that gold and all that? Yeah. We're all kind of so anyways, she had all that done, and it was just like that. I don't think that can happen now. So it's crazy because like level. I mean, there's even companies that will team up with a or a beautiful model or something. To have them promote their stuff.
And at that point, like, are you really a cosplayer anymore? Or,
I think there's different levels.
Well, so you're right.
So check this out.
I would say also that with that, because I remember I went back there with TK. What's up, dude? And we were watching them and stuff like that. But some of those people that either they had people helping them with it, it was a group effort, like they're part of a cosplay group and they all come together and pool their money and resources and stuff like that. Or people have been working on it for 3 or 4 or 5 years. But when it came to that, with prize money on the line and things like that, it wasn't necessarily you're just going to a con. It was actual cosplay contest event.
Yeah.
Almost in an invitational sense, just like the tournament.
It was just, I think, actually it was open. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, so one of the cosplayers that I was talking about, Miss Eru, she's actually famous because she does all the costumes for Hollywood movies, and she's actually a costume designer herself, so she does cosplay as well.
That's awesome.
And that's one of her passions.
Yeah.
She actually moved to California to do that, and that's
That's
crazy.
the dream.
Yeah, she's amazing. I mean, you look at her cosplay, and she can make a cosplay in 4 days, 3 days, and it looks unbelievable.
I mean, I think there's like for cosplay, now we're becoming a cosplay channel now. But I think for cosplay, it's just honestly, it's like esports, and as a player, as a coach, as a captain, as an owner, you just need to think like about other things. You need to be so multitasking that it's crazy. Like you can't just focus on one player or one team. You need to keep growing, keep moving. Sure. And it's the same with cosplay. It's okay. What can I do now? Most cosplayers are models, but like in your story, she actually has a different career set, and she's doing it for movies and things like that. Yeah. And I think that's something that I think that could move into a lot more, and more companies and things like that should kind of consider that, because how many people cosplay is huge, right?
Yeah,
but no one really looks into movies too much, like the design work and stuff. Most of the time, because they kind of
show now, the show where it's like what's it called, Face Off.
Face Off.
I love
that show.
I love
Melee. Yeah, cosplay Melee is really awesome.
But that's recent. So what I mean by let's take
Face Off been around for a while, but yeah.
Well, let's take movies, right? I mean, most of the time you don't see the full costume, and things like that. They kind of hide things, it's part of the appeal or whatever.
Boba Fett.
But now it's getting to that point where people are like getting more into it. Cosplay is, and I think it's because of cosplay, just from conventions and things like that.
So, all right, so we've hit those two topics, and we've actually hit most of the topics for today. So I just want to talk about one other topic that I think would actually be really interesting. And this is something, when we were doing some of our preliminary testing for our episodes and trying to figure out what some of the topics we could test with were, we got a lot of different submissions from different users. I think one thing that we all loved talking about was toxic players. Yeah. And I want to hit on this so briefly. I just want to skim over this. So we're going to keep it short and sweet. There have been some huge toxic events. Most recently, let's just use the most recent example of everything. Wolfcrone and K-Brad. Mm-hmm. Wolfcrone in the FGC does a lot of smack talk, and he is a very known player for not the best reasons. He recently beat K-Brad a while ago and talked smack on K-Brad and said, I'm going to crush you, I'm going to crush your fat friend Justin Wong, and just kind of like hit everybody, okay? K-Brad plays him, destroys him. 2-0, gets in his face, crouches down, goes, oh, okay, oh, he's wearing a headset, takes his headset off for him, puts it down nicely, and goes, you want to know why? You want to know why you lost? Do you really want to know why you lost? Because you pissed me off. So then they have the salty run back the next, I think it was like 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, and Wolfcrone beats him. And when K-Brad was trying to compliment Wolfcrone and said, you did a lot of stuff I had no idea how to deal with, Wolfcrone said, why don't you stop making excuses? And he's like, I was complimenting you. I just said you did good. And of course, Wolfcrone basically told him, shut up, you're an idiot, you have no idea what you're talking about, I crushed you, you're terrible. And it just re-sparked the rivalry again for no reason. So when do you guys think it's too far? When is it too far? Smack talk, just insulting, being toxic. Alex, you got to hit on this.
It's got to be, if we're talking across
everything,
players, like across organizations, K-Brad and Wolfcrone, obviously in different organizations and sponsors, it'd only be too far when it becomes belligerent, politically offensive, stuff like that. It incorporates a bigger aspect other than the player itself. Like now, if Wolfcrone starts saying like you're trash because your race is inferior, that's going to be a problem. Like
that'd be a wild.
I'm just saying. Like,
but yeah, you're right. You're right.
If it starts incorporating other people aside from you and the person you're talking trash to, it's a problem.
Okay, I agree with that.
And then now, if we're looking within organizations, if it's causing problems to the people that are helping you and your like producers and your sponsors and all that, and it's causing problems that are just making it rough for them to do their job and all that, that's a problem too. Like, you cannot direct your fire inward. You can't if K-Brad decided that, you know what, I lost because EG sucks. Like, you know, you guys are awful. You guys can't coach me. That's a problem because he lost on different reasons. There's nothing that EG did to make him lose.
You're firing at the people that are trying to grow.
So on that same note, Neil, you, Yata Gaming, Yata. All right, you own a team in the fighting game community. You are a sponsor.
Well, I'm a team owner. There's the difference between
Sure, you sponsor players.
in a sense, yeah.
Sure. Now, let's say Wolf Crone was your player. How would this fly with you?
I have to look at it as the fact that I'm not CLG, I'm not EG, I'm not TSM, I'm not Echo Fox, I'm not a big name or something like that. For me right now, as a team owner, there's really no such thing as bad publicity. So in a sense, I'm okay with it. Rivalries are important things to have. I think that was one, good or bad, came about naturally, which I like.
Definitely naturally.
Yeah, I feel like there's a difference between natural rivalries and artificially created ones because there's a demand for it. Right now, with the Civil War having happened and stuff like that, it's kind of been squashed. So there's a bit of a lull right now. But Smash 4 only been around for a couple of years. Already is people say it's too cuddly. Like there's nobody that's talking trash about somebody else. There's nobody that's going on Twitter and saying you suck, your mama sucks, your whole family, whatever. You know what I mean?
Damn, he just attacked the bloodline.
Like, I mean, the closest thing we did have was Zero versus Ally, and they ended up, squashing the beef. There's a mutual. I think there never wasn't a mutual respect.
I think they already posted about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was right after.
They
It was right after Civil War. Like Ally was wearing Zero's badge, Zero was wearing Ally's badge. They each had the different team and things like that. There was the thing when we were at Zero Saga. Zero had to run back against everybody that's beaten him in sets all at once, which was amazing to see. Like, if there was ever a doubt in your mind of why Zero is who he is, go back and watch that. Because even Ally had, got in from his flight at the very last minute, busted down the door when he thought it was all over, and walking in. It was mad dramatic, straight anime. It was amazing. But I think of Day, Lucario player out of Florida, super chill dude. He likes to side battle a lot. He likes to get the crowd pump, stuff like that. In a sense, he's good for the community. But they were giving these guys an opportunity before they played to be talk a little bit of smack at each other. And Zero's was pretty weak, honestly. With everybody was kind of like, oh well, I'm gonna beat you again, like stuff like that. But Day was like, this is why I don't like you specifically. He's like, you don't have character loyalty. You always gravitate towards top tiers, stuff like that. Which, if you as a player, that's your prerogative. And if you're trying to stay on top, it's totally understandable why you would do that. But for him, that's his shortcoming as a player. Now, Zero did put the smack on him, pretty hard. But you're able to generate these rivalries and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think Day is also one of those ones where he looks at it and is like, yeah, we are too cuddly. We need to create stuff like this. But for me, it's okay.
Sure. So
I don't mind it.
Well, what about this? So let's use a player that is so good, yet a sponsor still drops him. Let's use Dardoch. Dardoch was dropped. I mean, there was an entire documentary about this for those that haven't seen it with TSM. Oh, I'm sorry, with Team Liquid, The Breaking Point. So with Team Liquid, The Breaking Point, I'll give you the short version if you haven't seen it. It followed to Team Liquid's entire season of why they got so close and why they failed. And it became obvious that there was an issue with coaching staff, with player mentality, and just how bad the players wanted to be there. No one wanted to be there anymore. Their morale was at an all-time low. And they focused everything on Dardoch.
Yeah.
And he was one of the worst sportsmen I've ever seen in my life. He insulted his coach, Loco Doco. He insulted his own team. He'd be like, he's a jungler for Team Liquid. He's like, why is my bottom lane barely Diamond 5? Like, why do we have these crappy players on my team? Like, I'm carrying everyone on my back. You guys are trash, and I'm the one getting coached. And that was the gist of everything, of how every conversation went, where he was the only one carrying Team Liquid. I mean, Phoenix is good. Phoenix was doing a great job mid, but it was all Dardoch.
It was the Dardoch show for sure.
It was the Dardoch show. And even still, with all that, they dropped him because he was that toxic. What do you think of that, Alex? You're a League player. You're a League commentator. What do you think?
I mean, it's upsetting because, Dardoch is super good.
He's the second best jungler in NA.
And he's exciting to watch.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
he really is. Like, I've sat there, and even taking an old champ like Kha'Zix, he does stuff that I'm like, I didn't think you could do that. Like, that was amazing. Like,
He's a beast.
It's good. Like, and he's such an amazing player to watch. And when he gets into a rivalry with another team like CLG, it just gets really hype.
Man.
It gets super hype, and I'm like, yeah. Like, I look forward to him. And now he has to go and ruin this by just being a total like jerk to everyone. Like, there's no point to firing at your coach. Like, I when I was a coach, I think it's a jungler thing, but I had a jungler.
No, it really
Damn
is.
junglers
Yeah.
every
It
time.
really is.
You watching Night Bloom? We're watching you, all right? You watch it.
No,
He's
but
like
like
the rogue.
I had a jungler, and he was good.
You
Like,
Panobo.
he was good. He didn't carry our games 100%, but he always played a team playing champ. And when we got into 25 minutes, he made the plays, and they were amazing. Like, it was a lot of times we could say that fight was won because you had a good engage, and like it
Sure.
was that, and he was good. And I sat there and I watched their games. I watched them in and out. I watched them for 6 hours, and I'm like, I take notes, and I'm like, hey man, so on this game you did this, and like you lost your Raptors, you failed the gank mid, and instead you could have done this. And then he's like, he always comes back, well, you know what, if my mid probably did this, like I don't think you should do this. Like, and he questioned me, he's like, how often do you jungle? And I'm like, I'm sitting here watching your game from a third-party perspective, and I have the rest of your team vouching for this. We know the results of your way because I watched it. Here's my way. Like, and it just caused problems to the point that even though I was actually friends with him, I found a new jungler. I was like, I
mean,
can't do it.
think about it this way: if someone went to one of our league like one of the big league announcers, like let's say Deficio, and they're like, well, how often do you jungle? I watch this for a living.
Yeah.
What do you mean? It doesn't matter how much I jungle. This is literally my job is to make these judgment calls for you, and that was your job, is to literally watch this footage and see what someone can do better.
And that goes through even champions. Neil can verify. When we first started off doing DVDA and all that, we never played Smash. Like, we played a couple times. We grew up near Freddy. We played, like, very few times with him.
Yeah.
And by, like, number 5 or 6, I'm having a conversation with you guys. Like, I'm talking about these characters. I still don't play the game. I eventually picked up Little Mac, but I still could talk to you guys about it.
It's a crazy thing because that's, honestly, where we came from. Is, we owe all our, where we are now to Smash. To the Smash community and all that. We, teamed up with Bassam Bear. Shout outs to you, man, doing great things. But that's the thing. Like, we didn't come from Smash, and it was crazy. People, we had kind of backfire towards us because we were not from the Smash community. We are from the esports community. I play everything. To play Dota, play Call of Duty, stuff like that. But that's the thing. Like, we just watched it. And we started looking at it and learning. And so the thing is, like, I would even have, talks with Foe. And, like, I could understand what he was saying. And I would be like, yeah, because at the time it was the Diddy Kong era.
Sure.
Diddy
Kong.
So, he was saying, and I was like, just put something out there. Like, try something new and things like that. And, I'm not saying I'm taking the credit. That's not what I'm saying at all. But he was...
Freddy's prowess comes from Joe. That's
No,
all
it
I
doesn't.
say.
No, it doesn't. It comes like Duck Hunt Dog. Never saw that on against the D. He was doing new things and things like that. But that's it. Like, it just comes down to people need to put their ego aside, and it's just too many people are so egotistical and like, I know what the hell I'm talking about. I know all this stuff. Yeah. I don't need to talk to you.
Yeah. I definitely got things to say about this. I want to jump in real quick.
Okay.
As a now professional commentator, having done some stuff, I do it mostly here, but work D1TK, stuff like that. I'm exposed to top-level players, and I'm exposed to how they interact with the fans and how they interact with commentators and things like that. And there's always been a stigma, especially in the FGC, is you're not up there, you're not playing, you're not in the hot seat, you don't know the pressure. I know what I should have done, but it's not what I did. Versus... somebody, our job as commentators is obviously we want to build up the players. You never say anything negative. You always try to be positive. But you still have to point out to the people that are viewing that this was a missed input, or maybe he wanted to do this, but this came out instead, or something
IFC
like that.
Yelts is famous for that,
There becomes this thin line between you trying to have people understand what's going on versus you telling them how to play the game.
Yeah.
And there can be a lot of pushback because... if somebody just lost a 3 out of 5 or got reset in grand finals and ended up losing it, the last thing they want is some dude to come up and be like,
Salt.
yeah, you should have done this instead of this. It's like, all right, dude, you went 0-2 in pool play. I don't even know how you do that. Like, it was round robin. How did you go 0-2? Like, did you just stop playing? Like, you know what I mean? So there is a certain amount of that, but there absolutely is a time and a place. But I think something that top players need to understand, and I think for the most part they do, is that just because we can't perform and execute at the same level that they can doesn't mean that we don't know what's going on. Now, as far as Darnot getting removed, I think the big thing there, the difference for me, is that he's playing a team-based game. It's really easy when you know that that is the cancer of your team to cut that part out, then to say, okay, I need to find 5 other people that are good at this game, that can play at LCS level, and can play along with Dardoch.
And there's an issue of having to be able to afford those players.
Yeah, contract
that too.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So in that sense, I can understand why, even if you're the best, if you are bringing the functionality of the team down to where you need to be cut.
So, on that note, with toxic players and knowing when to say things and when not to, a big thing in Magic the Gathering, a huge card game, and actually a few different card games, is there's this really nasty mantra that people have where, let's say me and Joe are playing, and I beat Joe, and Joe goes, good game. We have the issue of the handshake, where one won't shake the hand, or if I make the play to be like, good game, and throw it in his face, or even worse, this is the worst one. I beat Joe. Joe says good game, I say good game. And then I put all the rest of my cards on the table and hit him with we call it still had all these.
Yeah.
So
I did that a couple
yeah,
times.
it's called the Shat syndrome. Still had all these syndrome. So when you do that, you go, oh, I still could have done that, and that. You suck. Or like, even not trying to insult the person, you just go, yeah, well, I had backup. So it's kind of like just rubbing salt in that wound that doesn't need to be there. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things where you pick up on the social cues and how you should and shouldn't do that. Also, with salt, I mean, everyone gets salty. Try and see how you are showing your salt. Try and see how you react in a negative situation, because I think that can really change how the public sees you and views you. So,
absolutely can.
I honestly think, though, that adds a little bit of fun to the game. Like,
there's an amount. There's a sweet amount.
I'm a chess player. Super nerd on that one. And my favorite thing to do is, most people in chess, they go, checkmate. They let the guy verify. Yes, checkmate, and they go game. I just go, checkmate, good game. Like, that. I'm like,
you ain't
shake that hand.
You ain't checking nothing.
Yeah, and they'll be like, wait, let me check. I'm like, it's checkmate. And I hold my hand there the whole time, and I just wait for them. And I'm like, yeah.
That's BM.
It feels so good.
BM.
I feel, they shake your hand, and they're like, they're so sad. I'm like, yeah, I feel good about it. Like, it makes it fun.
There's going to be something bad to happen. But all right, guys. So on that note, we're actually going to wrap up this podcast. I think there's been a lot of cool stuff that we talked about this time around. We're going to have another one coming out next week. And so for next week's, we're going to be looking to you guys for suggestions. So on Twitter, it's going to be PCINcast. So just go ahead and hit us up. We would love to hear some news from you. Tell us what you liked, what you didn't like, and what you want to hear about. If we cannot go over a subject for some reason, and I'm sorry to the people that we've already done this with, we will tell you why we cannot go over the subject, or if we're going to maybe slightly alter it.
There's contracts involved.
Yeah, we a few of us have some NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, that we cannot talk about specific things of. Expect those when it comes to just some of the event planning and whatnot, just business side. We can't do it. So, that being said, I think you're really going to like everything that we're going to have for next week, as long as we get some more help from you guys. So, hit us up. And once again, this has been ProCastInNation. If there's anything else you guys want to hear about, let us know, but we'll see you next week.
Have a good night.
Peace!
See you, everybody.